Yo, what's up everybody? It's Evelio on Packaging Unboxed. Today we are talking about paper bags. Paper bags, some people don't think they are packaging. Some people do. I do. But there are people out there that don't believe that, like labels are packaging. I don't. But some people do. Don't tell Adam Peake. He thinks they're packaging. So honestly, seriously, we're talking about anti-dumping and countervailing duties. It sounds like I just made up those words, but no, this is something that's really happening today. It's going to affect you, whether you're a brand, a designer, a design agency, or just a plain old consumer. What's happening is that there was a company that brought up, and I'm pulling up some information here so I don't get it totally wrong. Basically, wanted an investigation on other countries that were bringing in paper bags to the US, or brands that were buying paper bags from outside of the US and feeling that they weren't being able to compete fairly. There may be subsidies in these countries for these products, so bringing the price down, making it difficult to compete. Is that the reality? I don't know. So if you're bringing paper bags, and there's a specific set of terms that are used to describe what kind of paper bags they are, then there's also import numbers for the type of bags that it encompasses. That's where it gets kind of funky, because the terms that they're using, the type of paper bags that you can bring in versus the numbers, those two don't necessarily correlate. So things can get a little squirrely. If this passes, then it's, well, this is the terms we use, but really these are the numbers of importing that we used. So it really falls under these numbers, which then can potentially increase the number of construction styles and materials and stuff like that that can fall under these duties, fees, fines, whatever you want to call it. I like saying duty. So if you're bringing it in from a handful of countries, I'm going to bring it in here so you can see that I'm dead serious, is Cambodia. If you're bringing in paper bags from Cambodia, there's a dumping margin between 18% and 248%. So if there are fines, it's going to be somewhere in that space. If you're bringing them in from China, 93% to 237%. If you're bringing something in from China today into the US, because this is specific to the US, you're already paying a 25% tariff. Things coming in from China have a tariff. So if you're buying it from China for $1, as soon as it crosses the customs threshold, it's $1.25. Then you pass that on to your consumer. Paper bags, tariff still applies, 25%, and then potentially 237% on top of that. Then we've got Colombia, my beloved Colombia. We've never done anything wrong to anybody. We've got a 56%, India, Malaysia, Portugal, Taiwan, Turkey, and Vietnam. If you're bringing in paper bags from those countries, there's a potential tariff, duty, fine, whatever you want to call it, that can be attached to that packaging. It's really important that you look at it now and decide where you fall in this. If you haven't heard of this, definitely look it up. You can go to trade.gov, look at the AD, CVD investigation, AD, anti-dumping, CVD, countervailing duties. That's what that stands for. You've got a list of countries, and then you've got an event calendar on here. When they filed it, Novalex filed this petition May 31st, so not too long ago. It initiated June 20th. There was a preliminary determination, June 17th, and there's different dates for the different things, whether it's anti-dumping or countervailing. Those dates aren't necessarily exactly the same, but it's roughly about the same time. And there was a commerce preliminary determination that happened a week ago. It actually happened sooner, it happened October 31st. And I'll tell you what that is and what that means, what I think it means. Commerce final determination will happen January 22nd. Final determination is March 7th. And then they actually issue the order March 14th of 2014. So at the moment, a preliminary affirmative determination in the countervailing duty investigation of certain paper shopping bags of the People's Republic of China and India has been made. And you can find this on trade.gov as well. So what have they determined? They've determined the subsidy rates for these different countries, for China and India. But they've gone a step further. They've listed out the actual factories and what that subsidy rate is, and it lists it out for you. So if you're buying paper bags, if you're a supplier, if you happen to work with a distributor, or if you're a buyer at a brand, and you're buying it through a distributor company that then goes out and sources packaging for you, and you have no clue where they're actually buying it or what factory they're buying it from, and then they ship it in, they're the importer of record, and then they hand it off to you, to your brand, you might be getting screwed. because you don't know who the factory is or you're not working directly with that factory. And let me list off some of these factories. Bagatang Packaging, those guys are huge. Changzhou, I'm not familiar with those guys. Courage Packaging, those guys are big. Dongzheng, Paper Bag, EverTrust. There's a whole list here. Fujian Nangwang, Grand Intelligent, Lianfeng. Lianfeng is probably one of the biggest companies on the planet. They don't only import bags, they import everything. Look around you, there's probably something that's moved through Lianfeng. Those guys do research, development, furniture, hardware. Like those guys do pretty much everything. But we're only talking about paper bags. All of these have a subsidy rate somewhere about 140%, 144%. Then anything that's not listed in here, they've got Shanghai Shangzi, Xiamen CND Pulp, Xiamen Wonderful Bag Import and Export. All these guys are getting about 144%. Everybody else that's not on this list is getting at least 14% tacked to it. So what does that mean? Again, potentially you're getting a 25% tariff already coming in from China, no matter what it is, bags, boxes, socks, doesn't matter. Then on top of that, potentially 144% as of October 31st. Then for India, same thing. They've got a list of companies here, like two, Velvet Paper and Aeroplast Packaging. Those guys are getting 5 to 3%. Everybody else, any other paper bag manufacturer coming out of India is getting hit with 4%, actually 3.47%, right? We'll just round up to 4. And that's what's crazy, right? So you may not be aware of this. And if you're a brand out there and you're working with a distributor, you're working with a middle person that's buying packaging on your behalf, you don't always have clear line of sight of who it is that's purchasing or producing the actual packaging. And I know it can be, you can be working with a distributor. They can be working with a factory. That factory can be outsourcing different times of the year, different cost structures. They may be outsourcing to another factory. So you don't really get that visibility of who's making it unless you're working directly with the factory, which is why a lot of people like to work with domestic suppliers where you can walk, drive, fly, and see who's producing it and actually have a conversation face to face. There's also companies that do that as well. Are you still buying packaging like it's the 1900s? Well, switch to IDPdirect.com for factory direct packaging and unparalleled quality in every bag, box, and e-commerce package. Their commitment to sustainable packaging shines through in their solar-powered production from their factory floor to your brand's door. Go to IDPdirect.com for more. If finding your spec data is a wild goose chase around your office, you've got a data problem. SpecRite is the only cloud-based management specification solution that every brand needs. Because if you don't spec right, you'll spec wrong. If prices of paper bags skyrocket, brands are not just going to assume that responsibility. It's going to have to get passed on to the agencies. It's going to get passed on to the distributor. It's going to go all the way down the line, all the way to the consumer. We've got to split this cost somehow, and brands can't necessarily absorb that. The other thing too is somewhere I read here that they can potentially bill you for that fine 90 days back. So product packaging that's already shipped, been on the water, been received, been delivered, some consumers already recycled it, you can be getting a fine for that because this can go back 30 days or 90 days. But of course, things are fluid, things are changing. It can even go back a year potentially. It's all pretty much here. And you can go trade.gov, you can look that up. There's a couple other websites where you can hunt this down and find out and just kind of do your own research on what's happening. But how's it going to affect your business? I don't know. How's it going to affect my business? I don't know. It's just something you've got to look for. And if you've got any questions, reach out to me. Find me on LinkedIn. Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? What do you think? I don't know. Send me some questions. I'd love to hear from you.